Hey everyone, welcome back to Be a Warrior podcast. And if you're new, welcome. Those of you that have been following me, you know that last week we discussed a little bit about exercise. And I truly was looking for an accountability group. So I decided why not create one, because you know what? Fear can pull you back from ever finding a way to make yourself accountable. And if you are getting into a rut in your life and you aren't really doing what you want to do, but you have dreams to do things, we go into these phases. And I am no stranger to that. As I got through the holidays this year, I was so exhausted by January that I just enjoyed taking some time for me in January. And all of a sudden, I know we were in February. And now look at this, we're in March. So here we are flying through 2025. And I just finally said, enough is enough. I need somebody to get me up and get my butt moving. So Thursday mornings, I started hiking with some women in the area, all activity levels. We're not talking amputees. But I also started, if you are a female amputee, and if you've been on my virtual chats that we hold on Wednesdays at 1 or 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Zoom, you will know that we are starting Life Amplified, which is an exercise and accountability group. So I'm taking you through some of the things I've learned through personal training and all the years I have done lifting and working out, what I did through COVID as an amputee to actually lose all the weight I gained with all the surgeries and everything I had prior to amputation, and just giving you some of that feedback and, again, an accountability person in your life. So if you're looking for that, ladies, please jump on and DM me, because I would love to help you as much as I need your help. So as we go into this week, I started thinking, gosh, I had a day today. I don't know about you guys, but again, lovely. I had family in last week. It was a blast. But you know how it is. Like, you're trying to be the best host or hostess and just want to make sure the people that come to visit Arizona in this beautiful weather from the Midwest are getting to do all the things they want to do. And a lot of times it's not sitting around hanging out with you. We did some hiking. We did some outdoor shopping around here. We did all that type of stuff. But you're always wondering if I'm doing everything they want to do, and are they being totally honest with me, and they don't want to push me. And sometimes I wonder if they don't know what my limits are as an amputee, truly, when they're not living with us here. So that being said, there's a lot of added stress to that. Plus, my husband's having quite the few months of work, really intense, and travel. So then yesterday and today I dropped off our guests at the airport, said goodbye to them, and they took off back for the dreary Midwest. And I got grocery shopping in yesterday, and that was about it. And then today rolled around, and I was like, okay, you're going to get to the gym, you're going to get to your horse, you're going to do this, you're going to get your podcast done. And the next thing I know, it's afternoon. I'm just starting my podcast. And I have a Bible study tonight, so I'll be leaving here in a couple hours, and then the day is done. I guess my body is just telling me what I need right now, and what I needed, it was just some detox downtime, and we all need that, right? As long as you don't get into a rut. And that's where I have been. I really have had a hard time kickstarting. What's going to end up happening is I'm going to get in swing when it's 100 plus degrees outside. That's just what happens with me. And that's fine going to a gym, but that is not fine when it comes to going to my horse, because it's too darn hot to be out in the dry desert with no shade, hanging out with a very warm, big animal. So yes, I needed some accountability too. So jump on in, Life Amplified, jump in, women, to the virtual chats. Let's talk about it. Let's see what we need to get ourselves going. So here we are today. And I was kind of just going through my things, just thinking about all the stuff that I go through and some of the things that I want to do, some of the things that I've done. And I think a valuable lesson is, after going through what I talked about last week with exercise, and literally, I know last week it was starting with some very basic stuff, but I'm telling you, if the couple things that I gave you last week, you just made that as a ritual every day, you would find yourself in a very good and much stronger place, ready to use your prosthesis when the time comes. And I just, it doesn't take a lot. Like when we were all shut down for COVID and no one was going to gyms, I literally I didn't have big weights or anything. I've gotten more recently. But during that time, I think I had 10 pounders and 15 pounders, and that was about it. And I was able to shed 55 pounds and really built myself into the strongest version of me that I have ever had in all my years of sports and athletics and everything I've done. And it did not take a lot of extracurricular activities. I got out a lot and I pushed myself around on a manual scooter, but I did planks, I did sit-ups, I did push-ups, I did pull-ups, and I worked on balance with my Bosu wall, which if you don't know what that is, it's a half circle, a dome, mushy dome that you fill up with air and a hard base. I flip that upside down and I work on it where I'm having to balance on the hard place, holding on to like a shelf system so I have balance and I have control and I don't want to hurt myself. And that is really all I did for months. But it was everything I needed to tone myself and do what I wanted to do when my prosthesis came. So with that being said, I started thinking, well, what else did I start doing? And I know it sounds totally daunting when you think about doing a virtual race that's 5K or some of my very first ones. Truly, my very first one was either 150 or 175 miles in like 3 months. And that is me in a nutshell right there. Like I barely had gotten used to putting it on, let alone walking around my kitchen with it. And I decided to do a virtual race where I was accountable to myself. And I don't like to disappoint myself. And I'm very high pressure on myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm a perfectionist. And I was able to complete 3 of those major mile virtual races between summer, fall, and winter that first year of using my prosthesis. And the first 2 were with my C leg, my Autobox C leg, the one I'm using now, my normal everyday leg. And one of those, I told myself that I would only mark the miles I did wearing my running blade to get ready for my 1-year anniversary and doing a 10K at the Rock and Roll Phoenix Marathon around thousands of people. So, those are those moments where I know that sounds really impossible for some of you that are barely even getting your leg on during the day. But here's today's message. The thing I have truly lived by, and I've given my husband a lot of confidence in when he's not sure if I'll be able to do something, I say, I can do anything one step at a time. And that is a metaphor and it is also literal. If I decide I want to climb a big ass mountain, if I can just take one step at a time and not worry about speed or even how good it looks, I can accomplish that. I have done Mount Humphreys, which is our biggest mountain here in Arizona. It's our ski mountain up north. I got all the way through the clearing until the storm came. And yes, one step at a time. I barely made it down, but I made it down after 6 hours while it was raining. And if you know anything about Flagstaff's Mount Humphreys, the pathways are small, very rugged, little boulders here and there, and roots. So if you can even visualize a mountain that size and rain coming down, it instantly was a stream of water going down the path, making every root and every little rounded rock completely slippery. And I've never worked so darn hard in my life. Going up was difficult physically, but it was easy enough. One step at a time. Coming down, I really had to really practice what I was preaching with that, and that was, you can do this, slow down, and do it one step carefully. I actually snapped one of my aluminum hiking poles because it got stuck in a rock and my foot slid, and the bottom snapped. Luckily, it didn't snap so badly that we couldn't rig it for me to continue using it, but it was a little bit shorter than the other. But like I said, one step at a time. So this week, when you're thinking about, gosh, I wished I could do, I really want to try this, I really want to do this, I want you to remember one step at a time. Anything is possible. It truly is a mindset. It is a mantra of mine when I am trying to accomplish a hard task or a goal that I really want to reach and say I've done it and check it off a bucket list. I just tell myself I can do it. If I look at the mountain itself, figuratively and literally, if I look at the mountain in front of me and I look at the whole thing, it is almost an impossibility. But if I remember to just look down at the ground and go one step at a time, one area that I have to get through at a time, and don't look at the big task at hand, you will accomplish that goal in due time. And if your goal is to do something a little bit bigger and longer, just remember that every moment you are working at that goal, that is your step. If you want to be able to do 10 pull-ups, well, right now you probably don't want to just attempt trying to do pull-ups. You might want to take your prosthesis off and start working on arm movements. I did a lot of push-ups and I did a lot of tricep dips. And you just, you work on some of the chest, and then you just do one at a time. Your best first one you do, and I say leg off because it's literally dead weight. I could do 10 pull-ups. I put my leg on and I struggle to do 5. It is heavy and it doesn't work like your regular leg. It is similar weight, but for some reason the detachment and not having muscles in there to kind of hold it up, you're really working harder a different area. Like my pelvis, my hip flexors have to work super hard just to keep it up and moving towards the sky and then back down. So it is different. So do it without your leg on. You just need to have some sort of way to get up to your pull-up bar. But you can do it. You have to do what you can right now. If you want to do 10, you're not going to just drop everything and do 10 right now if you have never done a pull-up before. So give yourself something to work for, but don't get frustrated when it gets hard, because anything hard that you have to work hard for is going to be all the sweeter when you actually accomplish it. We pulled up that day we did Mount Humphreys. I just remember my husband going, I don't know if this is a good idea. And I just said, listen, one step at a time. We'll see where we go. And I will go as hard and as far as I can go. And going up, like I said, was not too bad. And I'll tell you what, I met some fantastic people along the way that kind of boosted my resolve, right? Because they were so like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. This is awesome. And that's the same way I feel when I go out skiing, because I don't ski with my leg on. And most people are like, I've been watching you out there. That was incredible. I can't even barely stay on 2 skis. And those are the things that help me keep going, because I know I must be doing something right if people find what I do hard, but I am doing it. There's some pride in there, right? There's some excitement to doing something that most people would find considerably hard or impossible. And I want to shatter that image. I want to shatter that amputees are limited. We are not disabled. We are only disabled by our minds. And yes, we are differently abled because of our way we move, but I can do things that everybody else can do. I mean, I ski, I surf, I hike, I can bicycle, I can literally, when I do a manual scooter into town, I kick with my prosthetic foot, and that is such a great workout for my quad, because I'm constantly popping up and down because I need to make sure I clear my foot, because there's been times I haven't and I've almost flipped over my handlebars. So nothing is impossible with the right mindset and a mantra of one step at a time. I know you can do it. It's not impossible. What's impossible is breaking free of the constraints that you put on yourself because you are now an amputee, or you have been sick, or you have a broken foot at this point. I mean, you've seen people, I know you all have, you've seen people that seem to have these supernatural powers because no matter what, nothing holds them back. And I will tell you that the common thread, because I have interviewed a lot of those people, a lot of Paralympians, the common thread is a drive to succeed and a drive to work hard and a drive to prove that the impossible does not exist anymore for them, that nothing is impossible. And it is a mindset, mind over matter, right? Mindset does matter. And what you tell yourself, what you feed yourself on a daily basis, the way you speak to yourself, the way you speak about yourself, and the way you see yourself is the difference between someone who's successful and someone who struggles. Yes, we all have different ability levels. Yes, we all have different strengths. We all have different balancing issues. We all have all these different things. But for you to be successful and do what you do, you may not be a Paralympian in snowboarding, but what you can do is the best you can do. And whatever you tell yourself, that's what you'll do. If you've always been someone that could just go walking, that's all you cared about, you're not athletic at all, but you love to take a long walk, and you're an amputee now, and you're like, I can barely walk around my house. Well, guess what? I guarantee that once you get used to your leg that you have now on, and you tell yourself you're going to get your butt back out there and do what you used to do, whether it was a mile a day or 2 miles a day, you will get there because that's the least that you can do because that's what you used to be able to do. If you could do it before your amputation, you can do it again. It just is going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of grit to overcome phantom pains, poor fitting, raw marks and rashes and other issues. And those come and they go. So when things are going well, get out. And when you have struggles, then that's when you take a break. And just like I had in January, I was drained. My body, my mind, all my motivation drained after a really awesome holiday season. But February came around and I started getting out and hiking again. I got back to the gym again, and I started working with other people online, helping them get back to being fit and figuring out what they need to be successful once they put their prosthesis on. So you can do it. Your success looks different than everybody else's. So do not compare yourself to me or to anybody in social media or a neighbor or someone you see at the gym that is coming in with a walker. You are not them. They are not you. You all have different sets of skills and past experiences, and you're all dealing with something that's different. So please, please, please only compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. Don't compare yourself to anybody else but the you of yesterday. And your job every day you wake up with breath in your lungs and the gift of life is to look at yesterday and say, I want to be better than that. That's all you have to do. And I know that you can do it because, quite frankly, I know everyone here listening is a warrior of some sort. You all have a fighting spirit within you, and you will figure it out. It just takes time. It takes a little bit of motivation. It takes a little bit of grit. And you're building your character as you go through these hard moments. And then the good moments, the ones when you're on the mountaintops, you're going to feel so good about everything you're doing in life. And yes, it will come and it'll go, just like everyone else in the world, amputee or not. Everyone has good days and bad days. So you just need to figure out what your good day looks like and really push hard through that. And when you're having a rough day, do what you can do. Don't back down. Don't back off. Just be you, work hard, and continue to achieve those goals. So this week, for your call to action, it is keeping this in your head. I can do anything one step at a time. So take where you're at now and ask yourself, what can I do to be just a little bit better tomorrow or the next day or the next day? Every time you wake up, what's the next step? What can I push myself? And I literally, when I was doing those big mile virtual races for myself, when I first was learning to walk, I really thought when I broke it all down, I said, okay, I have this many days, this many miles to do the division. I got the calculator out, popped it in. I'm like, 2 miles a day, no problem. Because I was like, I used to do 2 miles a day. That's an easy walk. And I will tell you right now, the very first day was heart-wrenching because I put my leg on and I'm like, let's go. We're going to push through this. And I got to the end of my block, which was about 3 houses down. And I went, I can't go any further. And I have to be able to turn back and walk home. I was really, really upset with myself. I was frustrated. I was angry. I really thought, and I'm going to tell you right now, 3 houses down isn't even a quarter of a mile. And I was like, so great. Now I'm 1.75 miles behind my goal for today somehow. And you know what I did? This first race, I told myself if my goal was to learn how to use my prosthesis and get used to it and trust it and really use it the way it needs to be, then my goal was count every step and every mile throughout the day, not just doing my stuff around the house, and then go out and do 2 miles, an extra 2 miles. I counted every step because you know what? If I'm in it and I'm trying to get used to it, doesn't making my bed and walking around the kitchen, taking the dogs outside and bringing them back in, going down and get laundry, bringing it back. I mean, all those steps added up. And the next thing I knew, I was doing 5 or 6 miles in a day with my leg. They may not have been sitting on the pavement and hauling butt out there, going through town and coming back around, but it was still getting me. I was doing it. I wasn't taking my leg off and taking a rest. I was in my leg all day and I was calculating. The second time I did a virtual race, I said, now it must be only exercise, not daily events like going to the grocery store and back or doing the dishes and getting the bed made and coming in, doing my things around the house and putting steps around my house. The second race, only actual time on a treadmill or hiking or walking on the streets. Those are the only things that counted. When I literally said, I'm setting out, I'm going to start my watch and I'm going to see how far I go. That was what I did for that one. And then, like I said, the third one then was, okay, the only things I'm counting is when I put my running blade on and I'm moving my running blade. It didn't have to be running. It just was getting used to the running blade. So that is how I leveled up. And every time I go, okay, what's hard for me? Okay, then that's what we're going to work on. So that's what I want you to do. The call to action is you can do this one step at a time. Whatever your goal is, take it one step at a time. Don't look at the big goal. Have it out there, but think about today. Think about what it's going to take to get to the next day, and continually and gradually get better one step at a time. It means one step towards your goal at a time. It could literally mean going up a mountain, literally one step at a time, and you can get to the top of that mountain out there. So I know you can do it. You were built to be a warrior. You didn't go through this because God thought you couldn't handle it. I know without a doubt that I was chosen for this path because I knew that, or God knew that I could handle this as my path in my life. And I will embrace it. I will love it. And I will do everything I can to empower each one of you to understand that this was by design. You may not like it, but if you embrace it and your mindset changes, and then you set some goals and you tell yourself one step at a time, you will find a very fulfilling life in front of you, and one that will actually bless others, I promise you. So until next time, and I hope you have a great week, a blessed week. I hope that you remember the one step at a time, and if you can't, write it down right now, one step at a time. Yes, I can. Mindset matters. Put that a little post-it note on your mirrors, put it in your car, on your dashboard, wherever you're at a lot of the day, make sure it's there, because you don't want to ever forget what you are actually made of and what you're created for. And you, my friend, are a warrior. And I hope and pray that you have a great and blessed week. And until next time, and as always, be healthy, be happy, be you.